Would you believe that nearly half of India's bachelors no longer want to get married? A recent study by Saurashtra University has confirmed what many feared. Marriage is no longer the dream it once was. According to the survey, 46% of eligible bachelors are reluctant to take up marriage responsibilities. And many suffer from something called chemophobia, a deep fear of commitment. Even more surprising, women are now more reluctant than men, citing fears of career disruption, emotional pain, and life limitations. Marriage, once seen as the cornerstone of Indian society, has become a source of anxiety, uncertainty, and mistrust, especially among the country's youth. So, what happened? Across cities like Rajkot, Junagadh, Jamnagar, and even metro hubs like Ahmedabad, psychologists uncovered a rising pattern. Today's youth, especially men aged 26 to 40, are backing away from marriage. In fact, 42% openly admit they don't want to marry or raise children. Why? For some, it's about freedom. For others, it's fear. The Saurashtra University study found that 63.6% of participants see marriage as a hindrance to life progression, while 75% blame their own parents' broken relationships for their hesitation. The trauma of watching failed marriages, bitter divorces, and lifelong compromises has created a silent rebellion. And it's growing louder every year. One of the biggest reasons Indian men are opting out of marriage is fear, legal fear. When marriages fall apart, the consequences for men can be devastating. Indian laws like IPC 498A, created to protect women from domestic cruelty, have been allegedly misused in many cases. There are instances where entire families are dragged into court, including elderly parents who had no involvement. Take one shocking case. A woman demanded 500 crore rupees in alimony from her US-based husband. The case even included his 85-year-old father. Though it eventually settled at 12 crore rupees, the damage was done, emotionally, reputationally, and financially. Another man had to pay 50 lakhs rupees after a marriage that didn't even last a day. These aren't movie plots. These are real stories, and they've created real fear. But it's not just the courtrooms that are draining men. It's what happens inside the homes too. Studies have shown that men in unhappy marriages suffer more physical and emotional health issues, from high blood pressure and depression to strokes. One Israeli study revealed that men in emotionally stressful marriages were 69% more likely to suffer fatal strokes. In many Indian households, emotional support is seen as a one-way street. Men are expected to provide, protect, and persevere. But when they need comfort or empathy, they're often told to man up or deal with it. The emotional cost of marriage is rarely spoken about until it's too late. Despite modern times, 90% of Indian marriages are still arranged, and while some flourish, many others are built on weak foundations: money, caste, astrology, but rarely compatibility. Families exchange biodata, fix meetings over tea, and sometimes allow a brief conversation at a temple or restaurant. But real understanding? That's often skipped. There's rarely any discussion of long-term goals, values, emotional needs, or even how both partners want to live their lives. It's all built on assumptions. If the families are good, the person must be too. Unfortunately, good intentions don't always lead to good marriages. Once married, the next chapter often unfolds like a drama, with three central characters in conflict: the husband, the wife, and the mother-in-law, sometimes joined by the wife's mother too. Men find themselves trapped between two emotional worlds: their loyalty to their mother and their commitment to their wife. Every disagreement turns into a power struggle where even small things, like what's cooked for dinner, become battles of ego and emotion. The boy is no longer a husband, he becomes a referee, constantly trying to keep the peace in a game where no one wins. Today's girls are raised to chase careers, not kitchens. And rightly so. But many in-laws still expect them to behave like traditional housewives. They want their daughters-in-law to cook for the entire family before work, clean, manage household chores, and still succeed professionally. But here's the twist. Boys were never taught these life skills either. So now two people, both untrained, both overwhelmed, are trying to run a home they were never prepared for. Add a lack of privacy, no emotional space, and constant judgment from relatives. And the result is frustration, friction, and emotional fatigue.
In pop culture and courtroom battles alike, men are often portrayed as villains, guilty until proven innocent. TV serials, Bollywood movies, and viral reels push the idea that husbands are always oppressors and wives are always victims. But the reality is more complex. Not every woman is a victim and not every man is a monster. In some cases, modern women, even self proclaimed feminists, have been found to demand massive alimony settlements, misuse the law, or make relationships transactional. Meanwhile, the genuine women who are truly abused rarely focus on money. They just want peace and safety. India lacks prenuptial agreements, which are common in Western countries. That means when marriages fail, men often lose more than just love. They lose their savings, property, and peace of mind. There are growing stories of women turning marriage into business transactions, marrying, demanding payouts, and moving on. The law often favors them, leaving men to run from court to court, unable to focus on their jobs or mental health. For many, it's just not worth it anymore. You might think that marrying for love solves all problems. But even love marriages are now showing higher failure rates than arranged ones. Why? Unrealistic expectations, entitlement, poor communication, lack of boundaries, cultural differences, emotional manipulation. वैसे अपने घास करता है. When love turns into control and freedom becomes resentment, the passion that once united two people becomes the very thing that burns them apart. Marriage isn't dying in India, it's evolving. But for it to survive, the foundation must change. We need real, honest conversations before marriage. Not about favorite colors or food, but about money, children, relocation, careers, and emotional values. Families must step back and allow the couple to take the lead. Couples must be allowed to observe each other deeply, understand triggers, habits, and visions for the future. Compatibility must be the base, not caste, not horoscope, not income. In fact, the SU study even found successful marriages where horoscopes didn't match, but mindsets did. Marriage in India is at a crossroads. It can either continue as a burden handed down by tradition, or it can become a conscious choice made by two equals. But unless we address the fear, the legal imbalance, the outdated expectations, and the emotional trauma, more and more men and women will keep walking away. So let me ask you, would you still choose marriage in today's world, or is staying single the smarter choice now? Let us know in the comments below.